Hello everyone. I am so excited about this live. I want to make sure, am I grainy? Y'all let me know. I'm looking a little grainy here. So my name is Stephanie. I'm not Nicole. Welcome to the live. I've been asked by Nicole to go live and talk about what happens when you reach your goals and it doesn't quite pan out or feel the way that you thought it was going to feel. So I titled this when hitting your goals goes wrong. So let me know if you guys can see me, and I'm going to make sure that we're live and good to go before I dive in. Okay, I see 2 viewers. If you're hopping on live, say hello. Hopefully I can see comments. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, and let me know that you're watching. If you guys have any questions while I'm going through this, let me know. So I'll introduce myself. I am Stephanie. I am a registered dietitian, a personal trainer, and a mindset transformation coach. I have been a dietitian probably since like 07-ish. And I own a business called the Fit Figure Formula, where I help female perfectionists to ditch the scale, to beat self-sabotage, lose the weight for good, but through the lens of who you are being and your identity. And so I talk a lot about mindset. I talk a lot about your identity, who you are, who you want to be, letting go of your story. And so Nicole and I randomly met on Facebook and just connected in the most interesting way. And so she asked me to come and speak to your group. So I'm so excited. Okay, I see people popping on. Hey, Tawana. I see my people. Hi, Jill. Tandy. Hi, Nicole. Elaine, Monica. Hey, ladies. So excited that you all are here. So I'm very excited about this topic because this happens a lot in terms of like us thinking that our goal is like a finish line or our scale weight in my business, right? And so you can actually apply this to just about anything when it comes to like the mindset. So I'm going to kind of talk about what happens when you reach your goal and it doesn't feel like you thought it was going to help you to feel. How not to be in a rush to reach your goals, and how that actually, you not being in a rush helps you to get there faster. How to manage your imposter syndrome once you do reach your goals, right? And the most important mindset shifts that you're going to need to thrive when you reach your goal. Okay, and I emphasize thrive because who wants to reach a goal and still feel like crap, right? And so I'm going to talk about all of those things, a mindset that you're going to need in order to really feel safe and secure in that. So if you have ever reached a goal and you have been terrified that now, like, I'm going to ruin my success, put a me in the chat, right? So if you've ever reached a goal, so this could be your scale weight, right? Or it could be a goal in your business, or it could be any other goal that you have set for yourself. And you're like, oh God, now I've reached this goal and now nothing but fear and terror is in your body because you're scared that you're going to lose this goal that you worked so hard for. Nicole says me. Elaine says me. Yes, mindset tools are multifunctional. Yes, weight, business, love, life. I have a money coach right now, and it's so interesting how like a lot of the things that I teach my clients now I'm being put through because I'm like, my clients hate the word diet. I hate the word budget. So Tandy says I'm guilty. Stephanie says me. Yeah. Okay. So this is for you. You guys are in the right place. So have you ever reached a goal and it didn't feel like you thought it was going to make you feel? So put a me in the chat. If you've ever reached a goal and you were like, oh, when I get to this goal, I'm going to feel freedom. I'm going to have peace. I'm going to have confidence. This is going to be so awesome. Put a me in the chat. Nicole says me. So this happens, right? Tandy says me. I have a vision board. I look at my vision board right here every time I'm on live, and I have seen things that like pop up and I'm like, oh, I accomplished that. And I don't even notice it because I didn't even take the time to celebrate it because it didn't like fix all the problems that I thought it was going to fix, right? So Monica says me, Stephanie, me, Tawana, yes. So maybe it did for a while. So sometimes like, in my industry, client might reach their weight goal and they're like, okay. And now they feel pretty good for a while, right? But then a little bit of fear sets in. And that's really what I call imposter syndrome in my field of like feeling like I did all that work, I'm doing it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to I don't know if I can keep this up, right? I don't know if I'm still going to be doing the meal prep and the calories and all that a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. Can I do that? Like you're questioning your future self, right? Or they reach their goals and they still have thoughts of self-doubt or self-criticism, right? You thought that because you got to the scale weight, or you thought because you made 10K in your business this month, that now it was going to be just smooth sailing, right? And then what happens is not only are we experiencing that, but then we're also experiencing guilt and shame for still struggling with these same issues, right? And we actually shame ourselves for feeling or having the same thoughts that we used to. And we're like, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to be that girl anymore. Why do I still feel like this? Right? And so I see Jill. Hold on, let me see what Jill said. I don't like to redo anything. Right. Nikki says, yes, do I have to do this forever? Yes. When does it get easier? Yes. And it's just like, wait a minute. So it's so interesting when clients say, well, have that like mindset, and it's like, oh, I thought you said you wanted a lifestyle, right? So think about what you're saying. Think about that word, lifestyle. There is no finish line. So the quicker that we can get that part, there is no finish line. So when I get to my scale weight, oh, it's not over yet. Oh, I had to do this in a way that's sustainable and enjoyable so that I can just, when I get to my goal, just keep on going. What? Right? And so this, the way that you get to your goal is so important, which is why, like in my industry, if you're doing a lot of restrictive things that is not going to fit into your lifestyle long term, when you get to your goal and you don't want to live like that anymore, what do? Right? Especially in this actually ties into what we're talking about today, is like, how did you get to your goal? How did you get there? Did you get there in a way that was super graspy? Did you get there restricting and not eating carbs and doing a ton of cardio? Because you got there a certain way, and that's very important, because now it's like, okay, if I did keto to lose the weight and now I don't want to do that anymore, yeah, that might bring up some fear, because the journey is so important. Okay. So I gave a couple of examples about what this might look like. So in your fitness journey, or even like if you're a business owner, right? And you can think about 10K month or 100K a year. And it's like, this doesn't make me feel better. Now I have, like, you might grow your business to where now I have employees. Now I have to like support other people with this income. And it's like, it makes you freak out even more. So it literally never stops, right? You must become the person that can create the result. So I want you to start thinking about, like, it's great to have a goal, right? But ask yourself, who do I need to be? What characteristics does that my CEO self, this is what I call my CEO self, who is the CEO of my life and my business, who does she need to be? How do I want to create the result? Because if once I get to the goal, I will just continue and there is no finish line, how do I want to create the result? Because that's really important, right? So can I become the person that can create the result, right? I'm not just doing a thing to get a result. And this transactional type mindset can be a little shocking once you get to the result. If you're just doing the thing, I'm just doing the meal plan, I'm doing these workouts, and to produce the result, right? And your powerful brain is like, yes, okay, cool. We did that. You produced that result. But what you actually wanted was a lifestyle, but the energy with which you created your goal was more so, I'm going to do this for now. And then once I get to my goal, I'm going to do it a different way. Right? So let me read the comments. Lifestyle, yes. I've never broken it down like that. Like, yes, it's a lifestyle. There is no finish line. You will never be done with this. It's so interesting. And I share my own, like I've had 2 children, I've never necessarily had like an issue with my weight. I don't even, there are times when I gain weight, I'm probably one of the heaviest weights now that I've ever been. And I always, I share with my clients, like I'm about 185 right now. I'm like 185. And I was like 185 full term with my children, right? But when you reach your goal, you will always have these ups and downs. Like last fall, I was working so much and I wasn't moving as much. And I looked up and I'm like, oh, okay, well, we should probably do something about that now, right? You'll never be done with this. So a lot of times we'll make it a problem that I'm still struggling with this. You're not still struggling with it. You're living life and you're still having to manage this. And the quicker that we can take off the finish line and look at it as an absolute journey, the more that we won't have this thought in our mind that something has gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong. Okay. So you have to become the person and ask yourself powerful questions like, what is it going to take for me to become the person that I need to be that can create the result and keep it? Okay. How do I want to create the result? These are great journal prompts. Okay. How do I want to create this result? What would that look like? What does it feel like for me to create it? So I want you to spend more of your time thinking about the journey than the result itself. Okay. So the journey is so important because the journey is who you are becoming. So when you try to skip the journey, right? When you do those quick fixes, Elaine, if you skip the journey, you skipped the best part, right? The journey is actually more important than the result, okay? And there is more opportunity in the wanting of a thing than actually having the thing itself. Let me say that again. There is more opportunity in the wanting of a thing than actually having it. Because again, sometimes you get to the goal and you're like, oh, okay, what next, right? And for me, I coach perfectionists, right? So we're never satisfied with small wins or even with actually accomplishing the big goal. It's like, okay, what's next, right? We don't even stop to celebrate. This is what I've created. We look more at oh, wait, how much farther do I have to go versus look how far I've come. Look how much I've grown, right? So really being able to stop and capture those wins and pause, right? So the magic is really in you mastering your thoughts and your emotions and being the person that can create the result, whatever that means for you. So you have to get really clear on what does that mean for you. So as much as we talk about what the goal is and how your measurements you want to be, the body fat percentage, your scale weight, we spend a lot of time thinking about the result and not very much time thinking about the journey and who I need to be along the way, right? And so if we're thinking about this as a lifestyle, as a lifelong thing, then it's I'm thinking about what I want in the journey of my life and taking off the finish line. Okay. So are you working on that mindset now? So some of you may be on your journey and some of you may already be at the destination. So I want you to think about, how did you get to your goal? And was it in a way that you felt proud? Did you show up in a way that you wanted? And can you see yourself continuing to operate in that way in order to keep the goal, right? So part of working on your mindset is knowing that life is 50-50. So this is a concept that I'm going to be teaching a little bit from Brooke Castillo. If you guys are not subscribed to her podcast, you need to subscribe to the Life Coach Podcast. Okay, and we'll pause. Okay, write this down. The Life Coach, I think it's called the Life Coach School. Sorry, the Life Coach School podcast by Brooke Castillo. Cannot say enough about her business, and her teachings has absolutely changed my brain. So this concept of like, life is 50-50, right? It's 50-50 on your journey, and it'll be 50-50 once you hit your goal. So part of you working on your mindset is allowing what I call the and, right? Allowing the and of life. It's not like, here's this journey, and then when I get to my goal, is something different. No, it's like, oh, here's the good and here's the bad. Here's my good thoughts and here's my pessimistic thoughts, right? And they will always be coupled together no matter what stage you are in. Okay? So having good thoughts or negative thoughts, having good thoughts or good feelings and negative feelings, nothing has gone wrong. So you can release the guilt and shame from being at your goal and thinking, I shouldn't be feeling this. I shouldn't be still dealing with this, right? So I'm going to go through some examples. I'm going to go through and kind of teach you guys the self-coaching model, which is another tool from Brooke Castillo. And this tool is really to help you to separate your thoughts from you. I do an exercise in my coaching program where I take the client through a visualization exercise to help them see that you are not your actual thoughts, right? So if we're going to have good and bad feelings and thoughts on a journey, we're going to have good and bad feelings, thoughts once we get to our goal. We have to know that the magic of achieving your goals is you. It's not the goal itself. Okay? The magic is you. Because if you think about it, the circumstance of hitting your goal may not have changed your thoughts. You may still be thinking poor things about your body. It never was about the circumstance. It never was about the scale. It never was about the 10K month. It was always about you. And that's kind of like, I feel like God's way of like bringing you back to the start. If you missed the lesson, let's try this again, shall we? Like, it was always you. The circumstance doesn't change your thoughts. Like, seeing a certain number on the scale doesn't automatically change your thoughts, right? And so the magic of achieving your goals is in the now and not in the future. So it's great to have this future goal, but it's like, how can I bring that energy to right now? Instead of trading our certain happiness right now for a future happiness, but the future is fake, right? I always tell my clients, like, the future is fake. If you focus on feeling the way that you want to feel right now, whether you're on the journey, whether you're at your goal and you're kind of like, what the heck? Focus on, how do I want to feel right now? The future will take care of itself. The future always becomes now. The future actually never comes. So if you can master your thoughts and your feelings right now, you can master your life, right? You thought that you had to see a certain number on a scale to feel happiness, to feel confident, when you just didn't realize that that was already available to you based on how you think. You can already create that confidence, right? What would that look like? That's a great question, right? There is where I would rather you spend your time thinking, what would that look like? Write it down. Spend time there, like mental energy, thinking about, well, what would that look like? What would that feel like for me to create the feelings that I want to feel right now, right? So the best way to predict the future is just to create it. Create it right now. So you don't have to wait to feel the way that you want to feel. So in the self-coaching model, this is what Brooke Castillo teaches. We have the circumstance, right? So if you have a pen, you should probably write this down. You have the circumstance, okay, which is anything. And in this case, it might be just like weight loss, right? You have a thought about the circumstance, right? So the circumstance is number one. You have a thought about the circumstance, which is the most important part. That thought creates a feeling. Okay? The only reason why you're feeling any kind of guilt and shame is because of the thoughts that you're creating that are creating that feeling. Okay? We take our actions out of feelings. So we have our circumstance, our thoughts, our feelings, and then our actions, and then we create our result. Right? I'm going to go back and look at the comments just in case. Magic is you. Yes. Okay. I love this. Thank you, Tandy. Create the future now. I like that. Okay. Live in the moment. Yes. Okay. So circumstance, thought, feeling, action, result. Okay. And here is your job. Your job is to create separation from your thoughts. So like I said, I do this visualization exercise with my clients to help them see that you're not your thought, right? If you are, as soon as you realize that you're thinking a thought, you're putting separation between you and the thought. As soon as you recognize, okay, that's a thought. Because you can't see the thought and be the thought at the same time. Does that make sense? So as soon as I recognize, okay, I'm thinking, or let's say your thought about your weight loss is, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can keep this up. Right? I don't know if I can keep this up. Okay, that's a thought. I'm looking at that thought. Okay, I don't know if I can do this. Is that true? Right? I can separate who I am, the watcher, the observer, from this thought. And as soon as you're able to do that, and this is why it's so important to practice intentional thought creation, because when you get good at this, you can catch it in the moment while life is happening, but you have to practice it intentionally first. But if I can see that thought, if I say, oh, okay, this thought is never going to help me to get the result that I want, let me choose a different thought. Because if I'm thinking, let's say the circumstance is, I hit my weight loss goal. My thought is, I don't know if I can keep this up. My feeling might be fear and scarcity, right? Utter terror, right? But you just created that feeling from an optional thought. That thought's optional. Once we realize how much power we have in that thought is being optional, that is where our power is, right? So out of that feeling, out of that thought, we created this feeling of imposter syndrome, of fear, right? And sometimes out of that action, you might self-sabotage. You may self-sabotage because when you're thinking about what you don't want, that is not the same thing of thinking of what you do want. So a lot of times I'll ask somebody like, what is your goal? Who do you want to be? What's your identity? Like who's your 2.0 self, your CEO self? And they'll tell me all the stuff they don't want. And I'm like, oh, that's not the same thing, because the more that you're saying what you don't want, or I don't know if I can keep this up, you're just going to recreate that. So if your thought is, I don't know if I can keep this up, your feeling is fear and scarcity, your actions will probably self-sabotage to bring yourself back to the level of your own belief. And then your result is, I'm eating out, I'm not planning, I stopped using all the tools that I was taught because my initial thought was, I don't think I can keep that up, right? So if you can, in the moment, catch yourself, oh, that thought, that's not a good thought. That's never going to help me get to my goal. You cannot get a positive result from a negative mind or from a negative thought, right? So if I can catch that thought and I can say, okay, what thought's going to help me feel the way I need to feel in order to move forward and take the action that I want, right? And it might be, I can create whatever I desire, or I've done it once, I can do it again, right? Or I believe in myself that I can trust myself. Like, I think this is a beautiful affirmation of, I can trust myself with my goals. I can trust myself. I'm a safe place for my own goals. And I give myself permission to be that safe place for my goals, right? So that might be your new thought, your new intentional, on purpose thought, right? We're thinking thoughts on purpose over here, okay? So now I'm thinking, I'm a safe place for my goals. I can do this, right? That gives me a totally different energy, right? That helps me to feel safe and confident and like I have my own back, right? And when I feel that, what actions am I going to take, right? I'm going to take actions that are going to help me to yield the result that I want. So this is a practice that you can do and break down any circumstance, because we all have thoughts about every circumstance, right? You get to choose how you want to see something. So a really great example is people who yo-yo diet, and they've tried all these different diets, right? And they're like, well, I have tried paleo, I've tried keto, and every time I lose the weight and then I gain it right back, and I feel like a failure, and I can't do this, and you know, it has ruined my self-confidence, right? And when I hear that, I'm just like, oh, so you mean to tell me you have tried paleo, and you've tried, you know, the watermelon diet, you've tried the military diet, you've tried all these different diets, and you got to your goal, and then you lost it because you were so, like, because of whatever reason, maybe it was too restrictive, and then you got back up and you tried again, and you tried something else again and again and again. You are resilient. You are determined, right? Like, it takes confidence to start over. Same circumstance, two different thoughts. You can choose this thought that's going to affirm a negative belief if you want. It's just going to recreate the same result. But what if I get to choose my thought, and I don't have to think that like I'm a failure now? I can think, man, look at every time I got back up. That's persistence. That is determination. I did that. And that makes me have more confidence in myself that like, I'm not giving up. This is a lifelong journey, and I'm in it for the long haul, right? Same circumstance, different thought gives you a different feeling, gives you a different action, gives you a different result. Is this making sense? Never really thought of it. Yes, you are, Elaine. You are resilient. You are determined, right? You can trust yourself with your goals. Yes, Tawana. Is this making sense, y'all? Y'all let me know if this is making sense. So the more that you practice being aware of the thoughts that are coming up, brain dumping is a good exercise tool for this, okay? The more that you practice being aware of your actual thoughts, the more that you can take responsibility for your feelings, okay? And the more you can take responsibility for your actions, okay? And you can feel empowered knowing that I don't have to think this optional negative thought. I don't have to get to feel these optional thoughts, or to feel these optional feelings, excuse me. So your feelings are your responsibility. People always say all the time, like, well, I don't feel motivated. It's your job. That's you. You're not motivated because you are like not focused on your goal. You're not focused on like what you really want. And it's your job to refocus. It's your job to think intentionally and on purpose to create the feelings that you want to feel, right? You can't always look to outside sources to help you feel inspired. You have to think yourself into your result, right? So you're responsible for your feelings. You're responsible for the thoughts that you let linger. That's your responsibility. Take ownership of that. That should be empowering. The feelings that you want to feel are already accessible. Why? Because you have the power to choose your thoughts. So your job is to learn how to tap into that. Your job is to learn how to practice that. Your job is to understand that it's not about your circumstance. Your circumstance does not create the feelings. It's you. The magic is you. You get to create your feelings, your thoughts, and ultimately your results, right? So you want to make sure that when you're feeling this imposter syndrome, when you're feeling like, man, I reached my goal, but now I'm feeling scared. Back up. What's the thought behind that feeling? What thought am I thinking over and over and over again that has probably become like this deep belief that's creating this feeling? Soon as you identify that thought, you put separation between you and the thought. I don't have to think that thought. And here's the thing. Like I said earlier, life will always be 50-50. So even when you get to your goal, nothing has gone wrong when these other unhelpful thoughts come up. Allow the thoughts to be there. And just ask yourself, do I want to believe that? Is this actually true? What evidence can I create, or have I already created, that thought is not actually true? That I can't do that is not a great thought that I want to think. And where's the evidence that I've already created that that's not true? Right? And sometimes you may wrestle with your CEO thoughts, right? Your 2.0 self thoughts and your 1.0 self thoughts. Those ain't going away. They will pop up. And guess what? Nothing has gone wrong. You can allow space for both without having it mean that I'm no longer self-disciplined, that I shouldn't be struggling with these things, right? And so utilizing the self-coaching model is something that can really help you become more aware of your thoughts intentionally, so that when life is happening, you can your brain can automatically start recognizing those thoughts that are not going to help you. So I'm going to review that again. Circumstance, thoughts, feelings, actions, and your result. Okay. Let me know if this is making sense, or if you have any questions. If you have questions, you can put those in the comments. What do you, for those of you who either have reached a goal, or if you feel like I'm on a journey, and sometimes y'all are scared even throughout the journey. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. But again, taking off that finish line, if you guys have any questions about maybe a thought error that you're having, or maybe like a feeling that you're having, and you're like, okay, I don't want to feel like this anymore, but I don't feel like I know how to change my thought because it doesn't feel optional. And that's the tricky thing, because sometimes our thoughts don't feel optional. It's just like, no, this is exactly what happened, right? But there's always another way to think about something. Right? There's never just one way to think about anything, right? So if you guys have questions about that, you can let me know. So I hope this was helpful in terms of helping you to understand that your thoughts are your business. These are your responsibilities, and the feelings that you want to feel are also yours. And there's nothing has happened if you still have those, the duality of your thoughts. Nothing has gone wrong. Right? But it is not the circumstance. It's you. It's your thoughts about the circumstance and the feelings. So if you've reached a goal and you're still feeling some imposter syndrome, you're still feeling like, okay, this isn't what I actually thought, like, get clear on why. Get clear on why you actually wanted the thing in the first place. Get clear on whether or not you really believe in yourself and that you really feel like you're a safe place. Because if you don't feel like you're a safe place, the answer is not to do more actions based on what you want. It's more of, okay, how can I take a step back, and what's this deep belief? It actually is calling you to a higher version of yourself, right? Your struggle, your pain, that lingering belief that keeps nagging you, it's actually calling you to a higher level, and you can say, thank you. Like, there's still some scarcity here. Let me dig into that, and this is an opportunity for you to level up your thinking and level up your relationship with yourself. Okay. Let me see. How do you get past that perfection? So perfectionism is all I teach, right? And so number one, asking yourself powerful questions. And where did this come from? Where did I learn that mistakes were absolutely horrible, right? Where did I learn that I'm not a safe place for my goals, right? there's a lot of being good enough in perfectionism, and it's a lot of times dealing with like your worthiness. Like if you're always trying to like validate your worthiness and trying to do more. And we always think like being productive is doing more and more and more and more and more and more and more until you burn yourself out. But where is imperfection actually more beneficial for you? If you've ever read the book from Brene Brown, The Gifts of Imperfection, this is also a great journal topic. How has imperfection actually been more beneficial for me than perfection? Because perfection is unattainable, number one. It also just breeds anxiety and guilt and shame, right? So there's a lot that goes into that, and you can never be good enough, right? You can never be good enough. It'll never fill the hole that you're trying to fill, right? Going back to the example of getting to the scale weight. You got to the scale weight. That's what you said you wanted. Now what? Now you're just left with you, and you are still you. And if you are still you, you're probably still dealing with the same thing. So you got to get to the root of the problem, right? And you guys can follow my Facebook page. You can join my Facebook group as well. I talk a lot about the mindset part of fitness and weight loss. So I invite you guys to come over there. I am also enrolling for my Fit Figure Formula. This is my signature 16-week program where I help perfectionists to get fit, mind, and body. So we are enrolling for this next cohort that starts May 15th. So you can book a call with me and we can talk about what coaching looks like and how I can help you. So I would be super excited to see some of you guys over there. I want to say first, before I forget, to thank you so much for inviting me, Nicole, to speak to your group. It has been a pleasure. And I also want to give a shout out to some of the ladies that I know, former clients, and people that I know follow my page, and y'all are amazing. Thank you for following me over here and coming and supporting me on the live. Jill said I had to intentionally show gratitude in the moment of achieving wins and reaching goals to bring up my belief. Right, we have to acknowledge it. It's so important to acknowledge how far you've already come. And so Jill is a former client. We are birthday twins too. And so I understand her brain quite well. Thank you, Mickey. You're welcome. Giving the scale too much power. Yes. All right, y'all. Thank you so much again to Nicole for having me in the group. I have enjoyed our live. If you guys have questions, come over and follow me on my page. And I'll see you soon. Thank you.